behind me is the sort of learning environment that should be the norm for the average child. Roomy space, robust facilities, and great grounds. Incidentally, not every child has this opportunity. Well, we found someone who's been recognized for her work, placing the average child in the right learning environment. This heart-wrenching viral video of young students in the Makoko area of southwest Nigeria caused many to reflect on the vulnerability versus access to basic primary education. Now compare this to this. That's what can happen when diasporans like Ibironke Adeagbo resolve to export their international experience, knowledge, resources and skills to make a difference back home. So who is she? She's an accounting graduate of Olabisi Onabanjo University, a chartered accountant and fellow of ICANN and ACCA. She's an ICANN UK Merit Award winner and former chairman of ICANN UK. Her background is mainly in the United Kingdom's public and charitable sector, where she has worked as finance director and non-executive director of various UK organisations such as the YMCA, Transport for London, British Safety Council and the UK Home Office. She was nominated as Treasurer of all associations of Nigerians in the UK and is currently the chairman of the Education Committee of the Nigeria British Business Forum. She was recently awarded for being one of the 8 black and ethnic minority women in the UK that has professionally broken the glass ceiling. She's passionate about developing the future human capital indices of Nigeria using her experience of business in the UK. This passion birthed the IA Foundation, a UK organisation set to socially invest in Nigerian out-of-school children to ensure they are equipped with the right skills to reduce poverty and destitution, often identified as the root causes of security challenges in Nigeria. Welcome back to the program. Now let's get to know this award-winning social investor a little bit more. So you studied in Nigeria and then you went overseas. What in your background has prepared you for where you find yourself today with philanthropy?
When I was at university, I was very studious as well because I was aspiring to have the right skill set and to be able to do something for myself as an individual. So this sort of background, the Nigerian background I had was very, very useful for me when I got into the UK because we had good discipline, we were dedicated, we were focused on our education. So I found it extremely useful for me when I got into the UK.
You could have chosen any path. You have a very strong background in finance. So how did you end up in humanitarian work?
When I was in secondary school, I realized I had a passion and I had a flair for figure work, you know, so things like mathematics, accounting, you know, I was just scoring brilliantly well. So that was what encouraged me to study accountancy in the university. And I became a qualified accountant, not with just one professional bodies, but with 3 professional bodies because I was very good in finance and things like that. And now I'm sort of what I called midstream in my career, basically, the twilight of my career. And I feel very fulfilled in my chosen profession of accountancy. And in the UK, I predominantly work in the education sector. And we have a zero tolerance for out-of-school children and things like that. Every child needs to have access to education. They've got to go to school. If any parent don't put their children through school, you know, they will be faced with the law, you know, in terms of why they are not putting their children to school. And I worked as a Bossa finance director in the education sector. And our funding methodology was based on students that you have in your school. So the more students you have, the more money you have. So it became sort of my responsibility to make sure we have more bumps on seats so that we can get more money. And then for a minute, I thought, hang on, I'm doing this in the UK, ensuring that every British child is got education. But when I come to Nigeria on holidays, I find my fellow Nigerian children on the street roaming around. And that broke my heart, that these are my people. If I go out there, I'm doing it for the British, why can't I do it for my own people as well? And that was one of the motivations that made me feel, you know what, I need to be doing this back home, making sure every child has access to quality education.
And she did. She's been recognized globally for her efforts to remove barriers preventing the African child from accessing quality education and for empowering disadvantaged and vulnerable children in Nigeria. In 2011, she was honored at the Nigerian Centenary Awards in the UK, a recognition that celebrated 100 outstanding Nigerians in the UK in the last 100 years. We asked her the amount of traction she has made through the IA Foundation.
That's why we set up the IA Foundation, to be able to support people, give them the finances they need to make sure they can put them through school. Because as you know, poverty, insecurity and things like that, it's what's made the number of out-of-school children increase. So we are saying we are a resource. We'll bring money from the United Kingdom, pick up kids from the street, put them through school. Make sure they have the right skill set so that they are not attracted or they are not a feeder for the banditry and the kidnappers and things like that. And they have the right skill set to power the next manpower of the country. So I thought this is a good thing to do. And to me, it seems like the silver bullet to solving most of Nigeria's problem. Because if everyone has got access to education, can you imagine? You wouldn't be tempted to, you know, do bad things or go into crime and things like that. And we'll have a better country.
How exactly are you doing this? You said you come in, you see people on the street. So is it just any child you find on the street, or do you work with partners? What's the criteria for, you know, finding these children?
The criteria is that you need to be from a deprived background. Yeah, so we wouldn't go and sponsor a child who is from an affluent background. You must be from a deprived background. You must also not be in education. Yeah, so you are probably at home because your parents can't afford for you to go to school. So, and you must be vulnerable. So maybe like you're an orphan, or you're disabled, or maybe you're a girl child and your parents are thinking, you know, you are better off, you are best used in the kitchen and things like that. So those are the three key main criteria to make sure we can fund you. And we go to deprived areas. So the likes of Oshodi, the likes of Mushi. So our volunteers and staff, they go out there, go on the street, interrogate the kids, saying, why aren't you at school at this point, at this time? And it's either my parents are poor, they don't have money, my father died, my mother died, and we're like, okay, we are IA Foundation. We are happy to pay for you to go to school. Take us to your mom, or take us to your father, or take us to your whoever your carer is. They take us to them and we explain ourselves to them, and they're quite happy. They fill the application form, and then we take them and put them in school and pay for their fees and every other associated cost.
To the end of their education?
To the end, to secondary school stage.
Okay.
Yeah. We tend to concentrate more on primary and secondary school stage, because university is a different kettle of fish, as you would appreciate. Yeah.
What are your challenges? Because it seems quite easy to pick them off, take them to school, and then the education is on you, technically.
Yeah.
What are the greatest challenges you've had with this? And then we'll talk about your success stories, because I know you're celebrating your first graduates and all that. But
yeah.
What are some of the challenges you've had, coming from the diaspora in particular, coming and going, doing this kind of work?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I'll tell you why. Because, yes, we are based in the UK, but there's a saying that home sweet home, there's nowhere like home. Nigeria is our country, whether we like it or not. So, yes, we might be doing a lot and achieving out there. But until you do it back home, you don't feel fulfilled. So by doing it at home, you feel a sense of fulfillment that you're doing this for your own people. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction. So most of my annual leave at work, I spend it coming to Nigeria to do this project, to make sure, you know, we can put kids in school. The other challenge we do have is that when we go to their parents and say, you know what, we are from the UK, we want to put your child in school, they are very apprehensive, thinking this is too good to be true. What do you want? Do you want to kidnap my child? Why are you, you know, it's like, no, we are happy. We just want our kid to go hawking on the street. We're saying, you don't need your child to hawk on the street. We will pay for their fees. And it's usually a challenge, trying to get them to understand that we are real and we're here to help them. So it takes a lot of, you know, manipulation. I don't want to use the word manipulation. It means convincing. To convince them to say, you know, we are real and everything, and before they allow us put their child through school.
What are your biggest successes? What are you most proud about? You know, working with children like this and working on this project. I know you have a number of awards, but what would you say has been a high point for you?
Yeah. I mean, there are two high points for me, actually. During the pandemic, you know, most of the schools were shut. And kids were not having access to digital equipment, things like that. So what we did is we invested in e-learning devices. And we came around and distributed it to children to make sure while schools are shut down, you know, they can still learn. So I thought that was a very good one, you know. Also, the other big highlight for me is, I don't know if you remember, there was a viral video that went around about some children in Makoko.
Yes.
They were singing in a pool of dirty water.
Yeah.
And when that video went viral, many people contacted the foundation saying, foundation, you need to do something about this. This is just not right. So we flew in from the UK. We then went into Makoko slum. We had to get a boat to actually get there. The water was so dirty and everything. And we went there and we said, you know what can we do for these children? You understand? And they said, we haven't got good water, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, how about if we invest in a borehole for you? And they said, fine. So we invested in a borehole for them. So all the children in Makoko there, they've now got access to clean water, you know, and we thought that was really good. And the kids were so excited about it. And that, in my view, was one strong point of what the foundation has done so far. Seeing the smiles on those children's faces gave me satisfaction and it gave me lots of joy.
Give us your candid advice for those who are in the diaspora who actually want to come home and invest, but they're skeptical somehow about doing so.
I'm very proud of Nigerians because we are always well educated. When we find ourselves abroad, we always make sure we equip ourselves quickly. We go to night school and things like that, equip ourselves and start moving up the ladder. However, what I will try and encourage Nigerians to do is when they find themselves up there in foreign lands, they shouldn't forget their country. Because I must say most of us are guilty of that. When we find ourselves very comfortable out there, we forget all about home. Please, 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 don't forget about home. You know, remember the people back home and try and do something to help them. Socially invest in your country because we only have one country and it's Nigeria.
What's next for you?
I would like a situation where Nigeria has zero number of out-of-school children. At the moment, it's about 10.5 million. So it's a tall order. So for me, what will give me satisfaction is every Nigerian child has got access to education. Every Nigerian child is educated. That would really give me lots of satisfaction. So I'm prepared to dedicate the rest of my life to making sure no child is roaming the street and hasn't got access to education.
And here's how some beneficiaries express gratitude.